I managed to build 4 arched windows that we will mount on our old house, which we finally managed to start renovating in 2024. All this footage, including the first part, was filmed last year, and I have finally managed to edit it. For those new here, I recommend you watching the first part before watching this. Before I mount all the hardware, I must create a 5mm deep rebate on the front of the sashes, where the frame weather sealer will be in contact. First I must mark the sashes, and the best way to do this is on the frame, with the help of 2 clamps. I couldn't figure out a better way of doing this on the router table, resulting in not the prettiest cut, but I will deal with that later. I am knocking the edges of the sashes and frame, but enough to give me some tolerance. With some pieces of weather sealers, I am checking if the sashes fit correctly. Also, I must check if they move freely so I can adjust them from the hinges later. I've done this for each sash, and they all went in their places right. I should not celebrate too early because there will be many steps until the windows are done and many things can go south. I am placing the sashes on these 5mm shims, which act like the maximum gap the sealers will cover, and I am also marking where all the hinges will go. Also, I added some shims inside, between the sash and frame. This way the sash is relatively centered in the frame. With the help of these drilling guides, which took me a few attempts to make, I managed to drill all the holes precisely and made mounting the hinges a pleasure, even though this was a pretty repetitive process. I don't know, I think I like repetitive work that actually works and doesn't become frustrating, like finishing cutting all the work pieces just to realize that you messed up the dimensions, or searching for that damn pencil with the pencil behind your ear. For the hinges, I am using these ones which are made in Italy, and they seem to be good quality. They also have a nylon piece inside, which makes them more reliable, but only time will tell. To mount them is relatively simple. I am just driving them inside the holes at a distance of 5mm from the surface. On the sashes they go a bit inwards at a slight angle so that the wood won't crack. Now that the hinges are mounted, next on the list are the handles and locking mechanisms. These locking mechanisms are usually used on PVC windows, and I don't see any issue mounting them on wooden joinery. I first routed the hole where the handle will engage the locking mechanism, and I continued with the slot in which the mechanism will be mounted with screws. I could have opted for more stylish handles instead of plastic ones, but the budget is involved and I can easily replace them with better ones over time. The handle is simply attached to the locking mechanism with 2 bolts. Nice and simple. For the frame, I prepared another jig to help me locate precisely where the locking pins will go. I will just call them locking pins because I couldn't find the exact term for this part in English. First I am routing the slots where the pins will go and also where the lockers from the sash will have room for the up and down movement. Flipping the jig, I repeat the process on the other side, followed by routing a groove in which the pins will get fixed with a screw. This is pretty self-explanatory. The windows lock exactly as I predicted and have enough space for the weather sealing. Next on the list, throughout the lovely screams of my crappy table saw, I am preparing the strips which will hold in place the glass panels. I am making them from ash because I was running low on oak, and I think this wood will be perfect since it's not exposed to the elements like the exterior of the window. A total of 8 will be curved, and I figured out a way to route both the concave and the convex shapes at the same time but on 2 pieces. in a matter of pressing a button, I am getting them ends mitered and snapping them in their places to check if they fit correctly. To mount them I will use, you guessed it, screws. I know that iron doesn't get too well with oak because it might rust, but mostly because the wood is not dry properly. For some extra protection against water, I am applying some caulking and smoothing it out a bit using some water. Also, I took some time to fix some defects that were either from the wood or made by me while working on the windows. After everything cures, I will finally sand them and prepare them for painting. I am applying 2 coats of water-based paint and I think that will be enough for now, since the whole house is a work in progress. My father is the star of the day since he helped me paint the windows and it reduced the time spent on the process by half. After the first coat dried, I did some light sanding on every piece, just to remove all the imperfections and add the second coat to stick better. The color we choose is a dark brown. I've added an equal amount of black pigment in each can since the nuance was a bit bright for our liking. After a couple of days, the paint dried properly and the windows were ready for the final touch, which was mounting all the sealers and the glass panels. What I thought to be a straightforward process turned out to be a pain in the bum. Mistakes were made, but I managed to fix them. A reminder that this is not how you use a chisel. I am using some CA glue in every corner so that they will sit properly, since the corners are often the part where they start to get loose. Same process, I mount the glass sealer, which is way simpler to attach since it has pre-applied double-sided tape. The glass panels I am using are the basic panels used on the PVC windows, which consist of 2 sheets of glass with some inert gas in between, so they can do a better job at keeping the ideal temperature inside. The sash and the glass combined weighed more than 25 kilos, which is about 55 pounds. They are not too heavy to maneuver, but enough to become a toe crusher and a pile of glass shards if dropped. I did the weight check to make sure that the hinges will hold the weight of the windows properly, since 3 pairs of them are rated to hold up to 50 kilos, that is 110 pounds. I take that with a grain of salt since 50 kilograms is as heavy as a proper bag of cement. I am using these inflatable airbags for mounting, which help tremendously while fixing the wedges and leveling the windows correctly. From there is a matter of drilling holes in the frame and in the walls. I am using 4 wall plugs for each window. I was thinking of using 2 more for each side in the middle, but I think that's overkill. Fast forward to the present day, more like a month ago, I finally had some time to get back to them and make and attach the water drippers. It would have been ideal for mounting those when I built the windows, but we haven't yet decided which type to mount, since there are also metal ones available on the market. I decided to make them out of woods so I can stay true to my craft. And if something goes south, I will fix them, cause that's why I'm a woodworker. Basically, I am making a piece of wood with a slope above and a cove below, preventing the water drips from traveling toward the window between the weather sealer and the sash. To mount them, I am using dowels and some elastic polyurethane adhesive, because I want to be able to replace them easily over time, since these parts will take the most of the beating from the elements. With a few retouches and doing some work I was supposed to do last year on them, they are finally done. I am proud that after so much work the windows turned out quite great, but I am barely scratching the dirt here. There is much more work to do on the house, woodworking wise, like 3 more windows similar to these ones on which I am currently working that must be mounted on the side of the house. And if this is not challenging enough, I hope this year to finish building 3 more windows which will be placed in the corridor of the house, which are way more thought demanding and challenging to make. But that is a story for another video. Thank you for reaching the end of this video. Perhaps it was a bit overwhelming to watch, but trust me, putting all this together, what once was a clutter of clips filmed last year, was quite the adventure. Let's not talk about scripting all this, which took me days. If you are new here, maybe you'll consider subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment and share your thoughts about this video. Thanks for watching.